Watch and burn.
Hey everyone, so tonight I am going to be discussing Dennis Hopper's, I believe it came out in 1980, I think? You'd really think I'd be better prepared. Anyways, I'm going to be discussing Dennis Hopper's movie Out of the Blue that was potentially released in 1980. And this tells the story, it's of Cindy, CB, Dennis Hopper's daughter, who is a complete and total tomboy who is obsessed with both Elvis and punk rock. She's growing up in rural British Columbia, and she will occasionally leave home to sort of hitchhike her way down to Vancouver. And she's constantly getting in trouble. In this entire movie, you just know something's really wrong with this right from the jump. And it's not just because Linda Manz is in this, and I can think of a number of movies that Linda Manz has been in where things never really end quite well for any of the characters in the movie. Off the top of my head, there's Days of Heaven, and even though she was only in Gummo for like half a minute, Gummo still, it didn't necessarily go the best for anybody throughout the course of that movie either. So it does seem like whenever Linda Manz is involved, no matter how young she may be, there's always going to be something negative taking place. And that's certainly the case here. Right from the jump, you just know her family is completely dysfunctional. Her mom, whose name I believe was Kathy, if memory serves, she's a heroin addict, and she is dating her boss at the restaurant/bar where she works. And Cindy, CB, will come by and hang out from time to time. And there's sort of this undercurrent of very low-key pedophilia, possibility of some sort of incest bubbling somewhere beneath the surface. And this movie is just really off-putting. So throughout the course of the film, it's just CB and her friends kind of fucking around doing whatever. And her father, Dennis Hopper's character, he's in prison. He got a 5-year sentence for wiping out an entire school bus worth of kids in an accident he had with his semi because he was drinking and driving. Now that right there is weird enough because he wiped out the entire bus full of kids. And I mean, everybody knows what a full school bus holds. It's like 40 to 50 kids easy. And he killed them all, and he only got 5 years. So there's a lot of anticipation regarding his release. CB's mom is totally excited about this, even though she's dating her boss. She talks about her husband, Dennis Hopper, pretty much in front of him. She hopes he's still sexy and all this shit. And then there's one scene in particular, one of Dennis Hopper's old buddies and a few of his friends are hanging out at like a bowling alley where CB's mom is with her boss/boyfriend, and CB and her friends show up, and Dennis Hopper's buddy starts to make these really sort of off-color remarks about CB and her friends, about how they're sexy and all this shit, even though I put them in grade 9 or grade 10, and Linda Manz, Cindy, she looks especially young. And so him and his buddies are like, oh yeah, you see that one over there? That's so-and-so's kid. And he's like, oh, I remember her mom. And they're like, hey, maybe like mom, like daughter, like mom. And it's like, they're fucking kids. And it's not even like these guys are on the young side of 20-something. These guys are well into their 40s, and it's creepy as hell. So Dennis Hopper is released, and I don't think he's learned much, because every time you see him, he's got like a beer in his hand, or a Mickey, a whiskey, a rum, or whatever, wherever he's driving. And he's attempting to put the pieces back into place, but at the same time, he isn't, because he's not the best guy. He's not really physically abusive, he's not emotionally abusive, he's just sort of a neglectful drunk. And there's this one scene where he's at a party at his place with a bunch of people there when one of the slain kids' parents show up, one of the kids that he killed in the accident 5 years prior. And this pisses Dennis Hopper off so much that him and his buddy that was low-key hitting on CB and her friends at the bowling alley, they end up killing the guy. Dennis Hopper beats him to death. And that's kind of the tone of this entire movie. So the whole time I'm trying to like wrap my head around like what's going on in this family, because there's definitely something more going on. Because Dennis Hopper just seems, like I said, to be more of a neglectful drunk. He's not physically abusive. He's not too emotionally abusive. He just seems to be kind of absent. And even when he is there, he's drunk. And then it's sort of like the end of the movie is just sort of dropped on us. I mean, I knew the whole time this movie wasn't going to end well. But I felt actually the same way about this that I did about God Told Me To, the final act in that. I felt that it was just sort of it just landed on us, where it's revealed rather quickly that CB had been molested a bunch of times by her father when she was younger, and how she remembers all of it. And then she proceeds to slit his throat, go downstairs and get her mom, who's high and not high on heroin, to come out to what's left of her father's rig where she likes to hang out from time to time. And then she kills herself and her mom as well, and the movie ends. Now, I knew this was coming. I could feel that this movie wasn't going to end well right from the jump, but it just feels like they poured a lot of information, and I mean a lot of information, about, like, there's so much exposition tossed in the last 10 minutes of this film that I feel like it was too abrupt. It just took too hard of a turn. They should have developed the incest molestation angle a little more. You know, especially something that important. There should have been elements of it showing up earlier, and there just wasn't. It seems like, all in all, Dennis Hopper, he wasn't the greatest dad, but he wasn't a child molesting piece of shit either. And seeing as how he was a child molesting piece of shit, they really should have found a way to work that into the plot sooner, so that it wouldn't feel so abrupt like it did in the last 10 minutes of the movie. I really like this movie. This is one of those films where every time I watch it, I find something new, something that I missed before, or overall, I just like it a little bit more, because it's just so dark, and it's so grimy, and it's so dirty. There's this one scene where CB is in a taxi, and she starts talking about how disco sucks, and how punk rock's the best. And the taxi driver, who's this older dude, he agrees with her, and he says, hey, you want to come and get high with me? Which is really fucking strange. Like, if I found myself around some kid in like grade 9 or whatever, I wouldn't be like, hey, let's go smoke drugs together. But he does, and they go back to his place. He starts playing the guitar. CB smokes some pot, I think. She lays down in the bed and starts sucking her thumb. And there's this creepy chick in the room with her legs spread the whole time, while her boyfriend, the taxi driver, is playing the guitar, and CB's sort of in this really vulnerable state, laying on the bed. And then the chick gets up and sort of straddles CB low-key again. She gets really close to her and like totally exposes herself, even though she is wearing underwear. It's still really grimy and really nasty. And then the boyfriend, the taxi driver, grabs CB by the head, and then CB smashes something over his head, and she runs out of the room, and they don't pursue her. And that's that. And that just seems to be CB's life. It always seems like she's sort of in the blender of being involved in some involuntary sexual activity. And of course, we wouldn't know this. We should have known this already, but like I said, the movie left the part about her father molesting her right till the very end of the movie. And I thought that was a little... It made me feel a little like off kilter about this whole thing, because there are scenes like the taxi driver and his creepy girlfriend. And had we known that CB had already been a victim of incest, it would have painted a clearer picture. So, I don't know, I really wish they'd done that a little better, but I do love this movie. I love how not only was it shot in Canada, which a lot of American movies are in order to save money, this was shot in Canada, and it takes place in Canada, which was a nice touch. She does say one really strange thing throughout the course. Holy shit, this is pushing 10 minutes. She does say one really strange thing throughout the course of the movie, though. She says how she points out to her mom early on that Elvis has died, and that she's going to kill herself so she can be with him. And her mom just kind of blows her off because I don't think she's serious. So I'm thinking at this point it's like 1977 because Elvis died in 77. But then a little while later she talks about how Elvis has left her, and then Johnny Rotten left her, and Sid Vicious has left her. Now, Vicious didn't die until 79. Johnny Rotten, he's still alive in 2022. And Elvis died in 77. So I don't entirely know what's going on in regards to that. I don't know if the writing got weak or if it was done on purpose because she's just a dumb kid. I'm not sure. But seeing as how this is over 10 minutes, I am going to stop. So thank you so much for hanging out with me while I discuss Dennis Hopper's possibly 1980 film Out of the Blue, starring Linda Manz, Dennis Hopper, and a very brief part by Raymond Burr. If you liked this review or discussion or whatever this was, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. I really appreciate you guys watching all of these. It's awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe. And we will see you guys really soon.